Bristol Community College, Mathematics with Dan Avedikian, Math 132, Calculus with Applications, Section 12.4, Problem 10. This is Section 12.4, Problem number 10. We have a function which is f of x equals e to, the exponent is a fraction. It's e to the 2x over x plus 7. And we want to find the derivative of this. So overall, our function is an exponential function. F of x basically does equal e to some stuff. So the derivative, f prime of x, will be stuff prime times e to the stuff. Now, the thing is, the stuff is a quotient. So to figure out stuff prime, we have to apply the quotient rule. So with our quotient, the top of the quotient, which is 2x in this example, will be labeled as u. The denominator of the quotient, the x plus 7, will be labeled as v. So as I fill in my answer for this problem, f prime of x, that stuff prime, let me replace with the quotient rule, which is vu prime minus uv prime over v squared. That's what stuff prime is. And it'll still be times e to the stuff. So now let's fill that in. F prime of x equals, so the first piece of my quotient rule is v. The denominator with no prime, so just v with no prime is x plus 7. That's my v. Then next is u prime, the derivative of the top. So u is 2x, so the derivative of 2x is just 2, because when we have an x to the first power, the derivative is whatever the number in front is. So it's 2. Now I put the x plus 7 and the 2 in parentheses because the 2 gets multiplied times both the x and the plus 7. So now I'm at the part of the quotient rule where I have a minus. Then I have u, no prime. So u, no prime, is 2x times v prime. So v is x plus 7. V prime will just be 1. The x, or 1x to the first, gives me the 1. Again, when you have an x to the first, the derivative is whatever the number in front is. There is no number written in front, but it's understood to be 1. So that's where the 1 comes from for my v prime. The plus 7 on the end, the 7 has no x, so its derivative is 0. So technically, you could write 1 plus 0, but that would be simplified to 1. And then in the denominator, v squared. So my v is x plus 7, so v squared would be x plus 7. I'll put that in parentheses and raise the whole thing to the second power. So what I have written now, what I filled in for the quotient rule, is just the stuff prime, and it's still times e to the stuff, which is e to the fraction, and the fraction has a 2x in the top of the fraction and x plus 7 in the bottom. And that is the answer, but the stuff prime I got from the quotient rule can certainly be simplified. So I'll simplify this down a little bit. F prime of x equals, so x plus 7 times 2 will be 2x plus 14. And then the second piece of my quotient rule on top, 2x times 1, is just 2x. Don't forget that it's minus 2x. And in the denominator of my quotient rule, I have x plus 7 in parentheses raised to the second power. And again, all of this is stuff prime, what I got from my quotient rule. And it's still times e to the stuff next to it. So the stuff is the fraction or quotient with the 2x on the top of the quotient and the x plus 7 in the denominator. And I can simplify it just a little bit more. Notice the part with the quotient rule on the left. In the numerator, I have a positive 2x, and a negative 2x. I can just cancel those. So that brings me down to f prime of x equals, the top of the quotient rule just simplifies down to plain old 14, positive 14. I have an x plus 7 in the denominator in parentheses to the second power, and that is times e to the fractional exponent 2x over x plus 7. And that's the final answer.